Hello, and a warm welcome to Reddit Echo.
There's a weight that comes with a CPR certification. It's not just a card in your wallet. It's an unspoken contract you make with the world. A promise that if the moment ever comes, you will step forward when others step back. I earned that card 1 week before my world shifted on its axis. I was 19, and the knowledge felt theoretical, like a fire extinguisher behind glass important, but something you hope you'll never have to use. It was a crisp autumn day, the kind perfect for Halloween planning. I was at a thrift store with friends, rummaging through racks of old clothes, laughing, trying on ridiculous outfits. The air smelled of dust and faint perfume. We were focused on creating a fun, fictional scare for a party, completely oblivious to the very real, very quiet tragedy unfolding just outside. It started with a murmur near the entrance. I was in a dressing room, debating a costume, when I felt the atmosphere in the store change. The cheerful chatter died down. The music suddenly seemed too loud, too inappropriate. The store fell into a surreal, heavy silence. You could feel the collective confusion and fear. I stepped out of the dressing room, the cheap curtain rustling loudly in the quiet. People were clustered, whispering. A store employee, pale-faced, was talking about someone outside a person passed out in the parking lot. There was a hesitation in the air, a vacuum of action. That's when the training kicked in. It wasn't a conscious thought. It was a reflex. I heard my own voice, clearer and more confident than I felt, say, "I'm certified in CPR. I'll go take a look. Someone needs to call 911 right now." In that moment, I was no longer just a teenager looking for a costume. I was the first responder. The contract was being called in. I rushed outside, my heart starting to hammer against my ribs. My eyes scanned the asphalt near the entrance. Nothing. For a split second, I felt a foolish hope. Maybe it was a false alarm. Maybe they'd just gotten up and left. Then a voice shouted from behind me, "Over there! The car by itself!" I turned and saw it. A single car parked far away from all the others, isolated in a corner of the lot. It looked like a lonely island. I started to run. As I got closer, the details came into focus. And that's when the real panic set in. I saw a woman slumped against the driver's side window. Her skin wasn't just pale. It was a horrifying dusky blue, the color of a stormy sky at twilight. It was a color I'd only seen in training manuals, a color that screamed oxygen deprivation and system failure. She had the telltale marks of hard drug use around her eyes, but even those were tinged with that same chilling blue. Her mouth was slightly agape. She was, for all intents and purposes, already gone. The theoretical scenario from my class was now a cold, blue reality. Another person, a store manager maybe, caught up to me with the keys. His hands were shaking as he fumbled to unlock the door. When it swung open, the smell hit us, a mix of stale smoke and something chemical, something wrong. And then I saw the interior. The floor was a graveyard of bad decisions. Used needles, empty pill bottles rolling under the seats. It was a portrait of addiction, stark and undeniable. But it was the other details that truly shattered me. We had to turn her head to check for a pulse in her neck, and that's when I saw them. Tears, silent tracks of them, frozen on her blue-tinged cheeks. In that moment, she wasn't just an overdose statistic. She was a person who, in her final conscious moments, had known fear, or regret, or sorrow. She had cried. Then I saw the car seat in the back. It was empty, but it was there. And on her arm, 2 names were tattooed in simple cursive script, a permanent dedication, a mother's love, etched into skin now turning cold. The juxtaposition was devastating. The needles and the baby seat, the tears and the tattoos. This was a life, a complicated, tragic life. And it was ending right in front of me in a thrift store parking lot. We managed to pull her from the car and lay her on the rough, cold asphalt. Someone else checked for a pulse again, their face a mask of uncertainty. "I don't know. I'm not sure," they said, their voice tight with panic. There was no more time for doubt. The training manual's voice echoed in my head. "Begin chest compressions. Push hard and fast." I locked my hands, found the center of her chest, and began. The sound of my own counting mixed with the sickening, rhythmic crack of cartilage. It's a sound you don't forget. You're told you might break ribs, but knowing it and feeling it are two different things. Each compression was a violent plea to a body that had already given up. It felt like an eternity, but it was only about a minute before the beautiful, relieving wail of sirens cut through the air. The ambulance screeched to a halt, and professionals took over in a whirlwind of controlled chaos. They strapped her to a gurney, continuing CPR as they loaded her into the back of the vehicle. Then a second ambulance arrived. Soon there were 6 EMTs surrounding her, a hive of activity fighting a losing battle against death. A police officer who had arrived on the scene came over to us. He was calm, his demeanor a stark contrast to our adrenaline-shaken states. He told us they had administered naloxone, a drug that can reverse opioid overdoses. But he said it quietly, almost apologetically. "She was pretty much gone already," he added. "They'll do what's necessary until they get to the hospital to officially call it." The parking lot emptied. The ambulances left. The thrift store slowly went back to its business, though the air would never quite be the same. I stood there, my hands still trembling, the ghost of the compressions lingering in my palms. The image of her blue face, the tears, the toys in the back seat, it was all burned into my mind. I was 19. I had gone out to find a Halloween costume and had instead found a front row seat to the darkest side of life. I had learned that heroism isn't always about saving the day. Sometimes it's about bearing witness. It's about showing up and trying, even when the outcome is already written. I didn't save her life that day. But in a way, that experience saved a part of me. It stripped away my naivety and replaced it with a profound understanding of fragility, of consequence, and of the quiet, desperate tragedies playing out in anonymous cars in parking lots all over the world. The weight of that CPR card became infinitely heavier, and I understood for the first time the true cost of the promise it represented.
Don't want to lose this channel and always be up to date with new videos? Then make sure to subscribe. The story continues, and it's only getting more interesting.